Hi, my name's Anna Colmer. I live in northwest London and my background is as a 5-element acupuncturist and a zero balancer. And I've been working with the supercoherence frequencies since they first came into being. Yeah, what can I say?
How do you use them for acupuncture? How do you use them? Because you do some interesting things with...
Yes, I came across a colleague of mine, Judy, who's also an acupuncturist on one of the Supercoherence practitioner trainings, mentioned that she'd used the Supercoherence panic to calm frequency on acupuncture points. So that really piqued my curiosity, and I went back and started exploring that on my own, first of all on myself and then with other people. Taking the Supercoherence panic to calm and just placing it over the acupuncture point that I'd selected and holding it there for maybe 30 seconds. And I noticed that I got the same kind of energy shifts in myself that I would expect if I'd been needled. And obviously as a practitioner I can actually take my own pulses, so being able to read a pulse difference kind of confirmed that it wasn't just me kind of going, oh, I think something's happened. It wasn't just the experiential effect of I feel a shift in my body, it was actually being able to read that through the pulse picture. As far as I could see from my initial explorations, I was getting as good a pulse change as I would if I'd been using needles. Now that opens up lots of interesting possibilities as far as I was concerned, because particularly if I need to needle something on myself as an emergency, because I'm not able to get to another practitioner, it's infinitely nicer to use the Supercoherence panic to calm frequency than to have to stick a needle in myself. It also opens up the possibility for working with people who are very sensitive or even phobic around needles, or even some existing clients who can normally tolerate needles, but for whatever reason, in a particular part of their body, they may be too sensitized to really feel comfortable having a needle there, to have another way of doing it. And obviously in a kind of first aid capacity, I always carry that particular frequency with me. So you have the option of being able to do some kind of first aid treatment, maybe clearing an acupuncture block for somebody, which I did for a colleague and friend the other day when we were actually out for the day together. It's less easy to whip out acupuncture needles and start doing all of that, but actually it's very discreet and easy to use the Supercoherence panic to calm, and I wouldn't be without it as part of my first aid kit.
The interesting question in my mind is that, because the Supercoherence panic to calm frequency, does it work for tonifying as well as sedating, or how do you kind of, what is your take on that?
Yeah, I wondered about that at first. To begin with, when I played with it, I was more interested in tonifying because that's generally what I need personally, and so that's what was working for me. But I then started to play around with other situations where I might need to sedate. And my take on it is that you can do both. I would say the results I've had have been more obvious and more discernible with the tonifying, but that's probably because a lot of the instances where I've used it, I'm actually releasing a block between one meridian and another, and you do get quite dramatic changes. I think it's all down to kind of intention. In the style of acupuncture in which I was trained, we have different needle techniques for tonifying and sedating, but there are many, many traditions within the acupuncture field, some of which involve what are called even technique, where they literally just put the needles in with no particular differentiation between the way they're manipulated, and they allow the body to do what it needs, whether sedating or tonifying. Although I've often thought in that tradition that what is probably really uppermost is that the practitioner in selecting the points knows what is needed and has that intention when placing the needles. So So I guess what I've been doing when using the Supercoherence Panic to Calm to stimulate acupuncture points is to be very clear why I'm doing what I'm doing, and my intention is to sedate or calm down the energy on this point, on this channel, or my intention is to tonify and invigorate the energy, and so I'm placing the frequency there with that intention. And my anecdotal experience is that seems to work well.
Can you give an example of, you said you gave me an example of what you did just the other day, some particular point. What was that about?
Yes, actually, I woke up feeling not particularly well and checked all the usual suspects, checked my chakras, checked my auric layers, kind of checked out what I'd been doing, and still wasn't feeling that great. And then just got the kind of intuition, I need to check out and see if I've got an acupuncture block. So I read my pulses, no blocks, but I sat with that, and actually it popped into my head in a very clear way that I actually needed to stimulate a point on the conception vessel, CV14, which its name is Great Deficiency. And I had felt quite tired and drained at the moment because I'm going through a major life transition. And it kind of felt like, yeah, actually I think I could probably use a little help with that. So I got my Supercoherence Panic to Calm, and I just placed it over the point and held it there for about 30 seconds. And literally, probably within a few seconds of holding it there, it was a bit like being a very thirsty plant that's all droopy, and then somebody kind of waters, puts some water on. It just felt like I was being filled up with something, like, oh, that's better. And I felt myself sitting a bit more upright, feeling more vibrant. The kind of borderline headache I'd had started to ebb away, and I felt like everything came back into focus. I was more present, which is entirely kind of congruent with what I would expect if I'd needled that point. It's a very powerful point for treating the yin, boosting the yin energy of the body. But the joy of it was that I could just sit there with this little frequency just in place, just beneath my ribs, rather than having to get a needle and prod it in. So that was a delight to be able to do that.